I'ma fuck up my life. I'ma fuck up my life.
So much money on the line, many turn to the schools that show the best numbers, the best chances at a new job when you graduate. But can you believe what some of those for-profit colleges tell you?
We ask kids that are 16 to 18 years old to make $100,000 debt decisions when they go off to university. And they're not prepared for that. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. They just assume, okay, I'm going to pay 4 years of education at $25,000 a pop, and when I come out the other side, somehow I'll be able to pay it back.
Right.
That's not how life works anymore.
Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. So, I'm basically going to talk about college.
I have $69,812.
$47,000.
$90,000.
$35,000.
$350,000.
$60,000 worth of student loans.
My minimum student loan payment is $1,000 a month.
It should take me about 10 years to pay that back.
I will be roughly 36.
Be 45 years old.
I don't know how old I'll be when I pay that off.
I know right off the bat I'm going to get people who hate my guts for even putting something out like this, saying how can you even have the audacity to talk about something like this when you're not in college? Like, who are you to tell me? And I completely understand that, and I'm not trying to persuade anybody, I'm not trying to influence anybody, I'm simply just trying to put information out there so you guys can look at it and then you guys can make up your own mind about it. If you want to be a lawyer, you need to go to law school. If you want to be a nurse, you better go to med school. You know, there's certain things that you absolutely have to go to college for.
1944, the GI Bill was signed into law, giving veterans money to attend school.
The GI Bill of Rights looks after the money end too. That's right. Tuition is taken care of, funds are provided for laboratory fees, books, supplies, and equipment are included.
Just a few years later, nearly half of Americans enrolled in college were veterans. Students at University of California schools paid less than $1,000 in registration fees, no tuition if you were a resident. But with the 70s came the taxpayer revolt.
If you want something, you pay for it. Don't expect me to pay for it. It's your problem, not mine. And so what happened was the student loan process exploded.
I basically want to talk about the increase in college debt, right? If you look back 20 years ago, college has doubled in price if you include inflation. So even with inflation, college has doubled in price.
Tuition costs at both public and private colleges have doubled since the late 80s, even when you account for inflation. Even so, more Americans are getting college degrees. But state funding for public universities has taken a hit. States spent less on higher education in 2017 than they did in 2008 before the recession. And that means students are spending more. The tuition they're paying is a big moneymaker for colleges. 2017 was the first year ever that most state schools got more money from tuition than they did from government funding. The average student graduates with about $37,000 in student debt. Altogether, the US has $1.5 trillion of it.
Nationally, we have $1.5 trillion in student debt. Trillion with a T.
You are looking at nearly $50 million destined to be destroyed. They have money to burn in Washington.
If you want to go to college and you want to get the college experience, do that, right? Do that. I don't discourage that at all. I think that's amazing. I think, you know, you're going to get a lot out of that socially and with connection-wise. There are smart ways to get a college degree, and I strongly, you know, push that, right? I have younger siblings who are going to grow up and they may want to go to college, and I want to push them to do it in the smartest way possible, right? Maybe going to Michigan and paying $45,000 a year isn't that smart when you can go to Henry Ford for 2 years and then transfer to University of Michigan Dearborn for 2 years and get that same degree. Because if you graduate from a branch campus, it doesn't look like you graduated from the branch campus. You actually get the degree from the real university. So let's say you graduate from University of Michigan Dearborn branch campus. On your certificate, it's going to say you graduated from the University of Michigan, and it won't even show those 2 years at Henry Ford, right? So if we just do a quick mathematical, you know, like equation, like now I seem like I'm a professor, but if you just add it up, right, $45,000 over 4 years is going to equate to roughly $180,000 in student loans. Henry Ford costs $1,500 a year, so you add that up over 2 years, that's $3,000. University of Michigan Dearborn costs about $12,000. You add that up, you know, you're looking at like $27,000 $100,000 opposed to $180,000 for the same exact degree in the same exact field. So there's smarter ways of doing it. There's a reason why people with college degrees are correlated with making more money, and it's not necessarily because they have the college degree. It's more due to the fact that they actually have this trait called grit, right? They have the ability to grit and grind through something that they don't necessarily like, such as college, right? So that when they get in the workforce, they have that grit and grind trait that transfers well, which correlates to making more money. Our generation is completely different than our parents' generation. If you look back 20 years ago, they didn't have a phone. Okay, a very primitive phone.
Cellular phones not only are becoming less expensive, they're getting smaller. One piece, handheld. Not car phones, street phone. Installation now is about $1,000. Monthly
We
charge
come from
around
two different
$100.
worlds, essentially. I'm speaking to this camera to put on YouTube for people to watch online on the internet, and and then you look at the internet. What's the internet? It's a place where essentially you have all the information of the entire world at your fingertips.
If you live in the modern world, I highly suggest you ask for your money back for your education. Get your money back. Start learning on videos, learning on the internet.
There's a point of diminishing returns in terms of what it's worth for a college education and how much debt you're willing to saddle yourself with.
I had this mindset that I was going to go to college, undergrad, and then I was going to go to graduate school and get my PhD. I thought that I would get through it and then come out on the other side with a job and then be able to pay it off, but that did not go according to plan. 7 different student loans that all have to be paid with different interest rates. The number just keeps going up. I will be paying $867 in rent a month, and that's about how much I'm gonna have to be paying in loans.
So that's just kind of the message I want to get out is, let's start thinking about things. Let's start, actually researching things, right? We have this amazing thing called the internet that you can research anything you want and learn from some of the most amazing people that you can ever imagine who are doing it at the highest level. So, let's start, using this and figuring out certain things about certain stuff instead of just listening and then following.